last point is a pretty good one, is kids run into roadblocks when they write. They run into roadblocks during the writing process. And you have to teach them strategies for getting themselves unstuck. Because a lot of kids don't quite know what to do. And on a writing assignment, you know, you can talk to a peer, you can talk to a teacher, you know, you can do a lot of things to get yourself unstuck. But on a test, when you're out there by yourself, you have to be able to get yourself unstuck. And that, I'm not sure we do enough of this. And I think it's actually a really good thing to do. All right. This is my point about this yo-yoing between reading and writing instruction. If we were smart, we would emphasize always the connection between reading and writing. I mean, good readers are good writers, and vice versa, almost always. You know, we can tell a lot of times when we read a paper, you know, we look at each other and go, whoa, this kid's a reader. You can see by the way it's crafted that the student reads. And I think you can do some good things that actually will help your reading scores as well as your writing scores. And that is like really focusing on craft. You know, in all of the rubrics in score point 4, the first bullet says that the essay, the piece, is skillfully crafted. And that means that the student has really made conscious decisions and has controlled those decisions and has thought about, you know, what kind of words to use and what kind of, transitions he needs and how to create depth in one page. There are really conscious decisions that you can see at work in good papers. If kids, when they read, can really understand author's craft, you can take that author's craft understanding and you can move it into writing. And they can learn that they can make the same sorts of decisions. They have the same power over their writing that the author has had in crafting the piece they're reading. And connecting that craft, I think, is a really valuable way to help kids not only become better writers, but also to improve their reading skills. And then, you know, the second bullet is just about, I guess all of you know this. If you don't apply the things you learn about vocabulary and grammar, if there's no real application, those skills, kids never learn how to take those skills and make them real. They can take a test on capitalization and do fine. They can put the commas in the right place. They can identify run-ons and fragments. But they still make the same errors in their own writing. Or they use words, you know, they try to use, the biggest problem we see is like two ends of the spectrum. Either kids are using really general language, or they're trying to use really big words and they don't really know how to use them. You know, all of a sudden you get, you know, my brother was so parsimonious. You're saying, I don't really think parsimonious works in that sentence very well. But a student has had that word in vocabulary. I mean, you know, he's trying to use a vocabulary. You can see when they're trying to use their vocabulary words. And sometimes it's actually quite funny. Because you're going, okay, you don't really understand the context in which this word is used. And it's good for kids to really try to use specific language, right? It's just that they have to do that on a consistent basis if they're going to demonstrate it on the test. Keep remembering that you can't really demonstrate anything in a test situation that you haven't really internalized. It's just not going to happen. Especially not when you're 10 years old and 13 years old. So we have to give kids that, we have to let them practice in terms of the application side. And then we have to keep teaching kids that revision and editing are two completely different things. Revision is about effectiveness. It's about conceptualizing, reconceptualizing the writing. Think of it as a re-thing. It's reconceptualizing, rethinking, reorganizing, redeveloping. It's all of those things. It's all of the re-things. It's conceptual. When you're saying, think about how you strengthen your conclusion, you're not asking kids to do right wrong. You're saying, think, conceive, think about, rethink how you wrote this conclusion and how you can strengthen it. Do you need another sentence? Do you need to change a sentence? Is just a sentence that you have too general? You have to rethink it. Editing is right-wrong. Right? It's right-wrong. There's one right answer and three wrong answers. Either they're misspelled words, or they're grammatically incorrect, or they're incorrect in terms of sentences. But they're incorrect. And of course, you can be like my own son when he was in 4th grade, who thought that revising was copying over the paper. That was a proud moment in my life. I had to disabuse him of that notion. Okay, we talked about limited formulaic strategies. Here's the thing that they do. They shortcut the thinking, writing process. And because they do that, they do not prepare kids for Staar. Kids have to think their way through the prompt. They do. They have to know what they're being asked. They have to thread their way through. And if they